Her name was Sarai. She was the wife of Abram, a woman who had traveled far from her homeland, following a man who had heard the voice of God. God had called Abram to leave his country, his relatives, and his father's house, and Sarai went with him. She walked through unfamiliar lands. She lived in tents. She watched seasons change. She followed her husband into a future she could not see. But there was one pain that followed her everywhere. She had no child. Years passed, then more years, and the promise of God seemed impossible. Sarai waited, and waited, and waited. Finally, she tried to make God's promise happen through her own plan. Hagar became pregnant, and Ishmael was born. But what should have brought hope brought pain, jealousy, and conflict. Sarah's story was not perfect. She struggled. She doubted. She made decisions from fear and impatience. Yet God was not finished with her. Years later, God appeared to Abram again, and God changed his name to Abraham. Then God spoke about his wife. Your wife, Sarai, shall no longer be called Sarai. Her name shall be Sarah. And God made a promise. Sarah would have a son, not through another woman, not through human effort, through Sarah herself. She would become a mother of nations. Kings would come from her. But there was one problem. Sarah was old, very old. She was past the age when women normally give birth. Humanly speaking, it was impossible. Then one day, 3 visitors came to Abraham. They spoke of the promise. Your wife, Sarah, will have a son. Sarah was listening from inside the tent, and she laughed, not because everything was funny. She laughed because the promise seemed impossible. She thought, after I have become old, am I really going to have this pleasure? Her laughter was the laughter of someone who had waited too long, someone who had hoped before, someone who had watched time take away what she once believed possible. But then came the question, is anything too difficult for the Lord? Sarah could not see the future, but God could. Sarah could see her age. God could see his promise. Sarah could see impossibility. God could see Isaac. And then the waiting continued. But this time, the promise had been spoken clearly. 1 year until the impossible would become visible. And then the day came. Sarah conceived. Sarah gave birth, and Abraham called the child Isaac. Isaac, a name connected with laughter. And Sarah said, God has made laughter for me. The laughter that once came from disbelief had become laughter filled with joy. The woman who had spent years waiting was now holding the promise in her arms. Imagine that moment, after the silence, after the disappointment, after the years of wondering, God, when? There she was, holding her son, holding the evidence that God had not forgotten her. God had not been late, God had been faithful. Sarah's story reminds us that God's promises do not depend on human strength. Sometimes God allows us to reach the end of our own ability, so that we discover his ability has no end. Sarah waited, Sarah doubted, Sarah struggled, Sarah laughed, Perhaps you are waiting too. Maybe you have prayed for something for years. Maybe you have watched time pass and wondered whether God still remembers. Maybe what you hoped for looks impossible. But remember Sarah. The promise did not become true. Because Sarah was strong enough, it became true. Because God was faithful, the question God asked then still speaks today. Is anything too difficult for the Lord? Nothing is too difficult for Him. Not the impossible situation, not the broken dream, not the years of waiting, not the door that seems permanently closed. God sees what you cannot see. And when His appointed time came, Sarah's tears became laughter. Her waiting became testimony. Her impossibility became Isaac. And the woman who once laughed because she could not believe the promise finally laughed because she was holding it. So do not confuse silence with abandonment. Do not confuse waiting with forgetting. And do not decide that something is impossible simply because you cannot see how God could do it. Sarah's story is a story of faith, weakness, waiting, and grace. It is the story of a God who keeps His word. And sometimes, the very thing that makes you say, "How could this ever happen?" may one day become the reason you lift your voice